Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the big stories in CSGO. Quicker than EG can't lose to North America because they are North America. A quick reminder to rate and reviews at the end of the episode. It really helps us. I'm Logan. This is ANTWERP. Let's get into it. We're not going to start with EG. I just really need to
start with EG. Nobody's going to start with EG.
I just really needed to make the joke about EG being North America.
We don't even know who is going to start for EG. Could be it could be five of anyone. If you are American, EG have a contract waiting for you.
Did you not know that they DM'd me the other day asking if I could play?
Yeah, exactly. They're going around everywhere. We'll explain this joke later when we get to the EG part. If you're a little bit out of the loop, don't worry. Stick with us.
So we're gonna start in some order. So we're gonna start with Cloud9. So this morning, welcome. It's Wednesday, May 4th, as we are recording. This morning, Thorin, our favorite person on the internet, came out with a video talking about the Cloud9 purchase of the Gambit squad. Clarified a couple things. Main point he clarified was, Cloud9 did not actually buy this roster from Gambit. They bought it from an agency who bought it from Gambit. We were actually fairly aware of that to begin with, but
was confirmed. Yeah.
Yep. The more important thing that was on that is that Cloud9 purchased this roster from the agency for the sum of $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million. But the important part of that is you may remember other famous transactions that we have monetary value to. Device was bought by NIP for $1 million. mezii was bought by G2 for $600,000.
I think Stewie 2K was like over $500,000.
Yeah, I think the Brolin one we're aware is in like the 700-ish K range.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm hearing is that for the price of one device, you could buy an entire CIS organization and staff.
And you also get an AWPer who's better than Device.
Yeah. If you need an AWPer right now and you wanted to buy Device when the Device sweepstakes was happening, you could have just bought all of Gambit, only signed Shiro, and then set the other team free or sold the rest of the pieces to someone else.
You know in Pokemon when you catch something and then release it?
Yes.
That's what you could have done with the other four members of Gambit.
It's like Shiro. It's like a sign-in trade. It has to be a package deal.
1 million is absolutely like a ludicrously low amount of money for this team.
Yeah.
Like, and we're sort of joking, but Shiro alone probably is worth $1 million. Like, if you're spending $1 million on Device, if you're spending 700 on Brolan,
I'd say Axile
or $1 million for Axile doesn't seem that far out of reach.
Like Axile or Shiro on their own is worth at least one Brolin.
They're both still fucking teenagers, bro. They're insane.
I think we need to put things now, whenever we're talking about money in terms of Counter-Strike, that needs to be in terms of Brolins.
I think the Brolan deal actually makes a lot of sense for everyone involved.
I agree, but my point is that is a known number that we can 100% corroborate, and we know the value of a Brolin.
Yeah,
right now,
and that doesn't seem too out of line with everything we know.
With what we think it should be, right? So
didn't Cloud9 buy S-Tag for about the same amount?
No. The Cloud9 numbers
that's that covered then.
The Cloud9 numbers were pay over a certain amount of years.
Yeah, but it was 2.3 mil over 2 or 3 years, including the buyout. And people worked out the buyout was like, I think the buyout was like 800K to $1 mil. It was something like that.
You know what's important? You know what's an important thing to compare here? Copenhagen Flames were almost bought for 700K.
Yeah.
And Gambit was successfully bought for $1 million. So are we saying that Gambit, let's say Copenhagen Flames is worth a little bit less than 700K because they didn't end up getting bought. Let's say they were 600K. Do we think Gambit is worth 1.4 Copenhagen Flames?
I think Copenhagen Flames being worth 70% of Gambit is probably fair. Yeah.
I'd agree that's probably fair.
I guess the hidden cost there is, so if you buy one player for 750k buyout, you're paying one salary. You buy a team for that, you're paying 5 salaries. That's obviously going to be
6 salaries,
yeah.
Coach.
That's obviously going to be a huge difference. But if you were to buy out all 5 of those Gambit players individually 6 months ago, it would have cost you a hell of a lot more than 1 million.
Oh,
You
yeah,
still have to
absolutely.
pay those salaries.
Absolutely. And for Gambit, it's 8 salaries. They brought 2 coaches and a team manager with them.
Oh, wow. That's,
So
I mean, look, that is as good a deal as you're going to get on a current top 3 team probably ever.
Ever, yeah.
Like,
The
it's
only
really
time
good for the players to actually like have some stability and some certainty in a time where they probably don't have a whole lot. That's, I mean, it's a positive thing all around.
The only time ever that this was true that like you could get a top 5 team for in this ballpark was, I believe when NRG sold EG to EG, they were a top 5 team at that moment, and it was in the 650, 750 ballpark.
Yeah,
is what I read earlier. So that's the only other time this has realistically been done. But this Gambit, the Cloud9 team is a considerably better team than that EG team was at the time.
Yeah, I mean that NRG EG team was pretty fucking good. Like that was when like Breezy was actually one of the best 5-10 players in the world. So you did,
but I'd still say that this Gambit team is worth 75% of.
Yeah, I mean there was no way you'd get it for that price 6 months ago. So
yeah, exactly.
As far as deals go, that's a good one.
Good job, Jack. You made a good deal.
Yeah, now just don't sack the coach 3 games in.
Yep. So let's go talk about the Cloud9 team for a second. Stickers came out yesterday. They're cool. Liaz's has a cat in it. Neff has like a little sloth. It's a great time. There's a lot of animals in these.
I'm gonna put them all on my paw.
That's, you know what, this is a good idea. I might need to acquire an op pod and put only.
I think Liaz has 2 different stickers with 2 different cats on it.
He does, because his last one is a different signature.
That's 2 animals already.
That's 2, plus we have Naf Sloth. That's 3. We could probably get a 4th. Just very quickly, there is a controversy going around about the stickers from the Russian players from Cloud9 because they have Z's in them, which is a thing to do with something with Russia.
It's a symbol of like agreeing with the war against Ukraine, essentially. A Virtus Pro Dota player has been fired for drawing it on the map during a Dota game.
Yeah.
And I guess the knives are out for the Cloud9 players because one of them underlined his.
Yeah, so one of was like a
scribble, and it looks a little bit like a Z.
Yeah,
but it doesn't like really. It looks like
scribble. Yeah, and then the other players is Inters, who has a
fucking Z at the end of his name. Yes.
So like, don't know what you want to do about that one.
Z in Inters. He did, the worst thing is he did it like a couple of years ago. He was ahead of the fucking curve. He's the head of the fucking operation. He is the Hydra. Like,
okay. That's all we're going to talk about the sticker thing.
Yeah, that's all. There's literally nothing else. Like, I think people made a tweet looking at it, and I think if they look back now, they probably regret it. But you don't want to backpedal for whatever reason. It's really not worth worrying about. Like, just chill out.
Okay. We mentioned it because I don't know, internet.
Yeah, stickers are out. Cool.
Stickers are out. There's animals on some of them. They switched foil to glitter, and I think it looks way better.
Yes,
that's the glitter is a vibe. IEM Dallas is a tournament that's going to be happening in the United States of America in a couple weeks. I would have gone, except I'm graduating college or something.
What are you doing that for?
I don't know. Apparently, I'm supposed to be at the graduation ceremony. Otherwise, I'd be in Antwerp. So
I wouldn't bother. Basically, I went to my graduation ceremony. It was boring as fuck.
I'm going to the small one that's like 100 people. So, but IEM Dallas is happening. Open qualifiers are happening. You want to talk about this? Go.
Yeah, so there's 2 spots. Well, there's 1 spot left now as we're recording because Entropic beat Big to qualify, which is a good bounce back for Entropic. Obviously, failed in the RMR, which was a big failure for a team who have been consistently good. And then beating Big for this podcast is quite symbolic because we've often talked about them too as very similar. But now there's 1 game left that will be played by the time you hear this because it's starting in 20 minutes as we're recording. Just Big versus Mouse, which is like the real German team versus like the fake German team that all the Germans support. And it's like it's kind of a big. I mean, that's the last spot in IEM Dallas, which is
Yep.
a pretty prestigious tournament. I had a look earlier. There's like, I think it's like 12 of the top 13 teams or something are there.
So the top 9 of the top 10 teams are there, and the
Yeah.
only of those that isn't is number 10.
Which is
Not is a team. It is
Outsiders?
Outriders.
Yeah,
Outsiders.
yeah.
Yes, that team.
I did have a look earlier and I'd forgotten. Yeah, it's Outsiders. Bad News Eagles are like a top 4 team who just aren't there for some reason. Not really sure what it is.
Yeah, just so teams. Yeah, the normal suspects are there that you'd think would be there. Liquid's there, Entropic's there, Complexity's there. Thank God there's North American teams there.
And Imperial are there. I'm really excited to see Fur Fallen and Co.
LFO are there.
Yeah.
We get to see Ben the Savage again. And either Entropic or Big.
Either Big or Mouse. Entropic
Mouse
or
Big. Yep, Mouse or Big. And then we'll have a nice little tournament at the end of May.
Yeah, it's right after the major as well.
Yeah, it is like immediately after the major.
In some ways, it's good because often when there's a major, you're like really fucking hyped to watch Counter-Strike. It's like, oh yeah, we've got a break. But also, that does cut into our like, you know, the best part of the year, the post-major roster shuffle season.
Well, it cuts into that, and it cuts into our like 4-week break of intermediate podcasting.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
but more importantly, post-major roster shuffle season. We don't get to, we don't get any of that immediately. Like we have to wait again.
Yeah,
they could have thought about this. What about us?
Why couldn't they plan better? All right. So next thing on my list is YEKINDAR. There was an article that came out recently-ish the other day that basically said that YEKINDAR is after the major will be evaluating his options, aka he may leave the Team Formulinas versus Pro, which to everyone's surprise is no surprise. To everyone's not surprised.
Nice.
Basically, this is not a surprise to anyone.
Think about it. Good.
If you've been following YEKINDAR and Outriders at any point in the last 3 months, you'll know that YEKINDAR wants to play, and he doesn't want to be held up by the fact that people have visa issues because they are Russian. So yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll say about this is that he gave an interview like a month ago to a Latvian website where he sort of, this was sort of mentioned. People were like, well, we don't know if we know. None of us speak Latvian, so we don't know how well it translates, and you don't know exactly what he means. But it does seem now that he is going to, you know, split up with the team and go elsewhere. I don't think he'll be the only one either. I think the whole team's gonna implode. From what the rumors suggest, like it seems like a lot of they're all gonna like split up. I don't think there'll be any of them staying together.
I was gonna say there is a possibility that some of them do stay together because I thought the team was way more Russian based than it was. There are 2 Russians, there's 2 Kazakh players, and then there's YEKINDAR who's Latvian.
I do think they all speak Russian fluently, but
I believe they do. But my point is that the 2 Kazakhs and the Latvian don't have issues concerning visas the same way Jame and I don't remember who the other Jame and Flit have. So this is why they should have just kept Sanji. They could sign Sanji to the rest, and then they find an offer, and boom, look at that, you got old VP back.
I will say YEKINDAR is very open in interviews as well, on broadcast, and he's sort of been hinting that there's been problems bubbling into the surface for a while, and I sort of like brushed them off as like, oh, it's normal problems that that teams have, blah blah blah. But I think those problems have become, you know how a chip in the windscreen becomes a crack. I think there's been a chip in the windscreen for a while, and it's cracked. I think they're really going to split. The real question is, who signs YEKINDAR? Because
the answer isn't FaZe. I don't think.
I mean, look, you put YEKINDAR on that team. How do you beat it?
So the reason I say not FaZe is because I feel like every time somebody becomes a free agent, we just go, he's going to FaZe. He's going to FaZe. FaZe.
Yeah, he's very FaZe though, isn't he?
He is.
It's like when Rops came on the scene, you just knew he was going to end up at FaZe. I mean, Rops did also have a Z in his name, which does help.
Yeah.
Like, it makes him look phasier. But like YEKINDAR, I don't know, there's something about him is very phasey.
Shit, we could have guessed Twist then. He's got twosies in his name, man.
Look, I'm telling you, there's a pattern here. But
Well, wait.
there's something about
YEKINDAR doesn't have a B at the end, so he can't go to big. What other teams exist?
So I postulated, I think Team Liquid are going to throw a whole bunch of money at him.
Did
And
we
I
have
think
this
it's going to be
conversation
very
last
difficult
week?
to turn that down.
Did we have this conversation last week? Because I feel I'm 95% sure I talked with somebody about YEKINDAR joining Liquid in place of Shocks.
This report
I guess
came
it
out
wasn't
5 days ago, I think.
Okay, so I guess it wasn't you. I definitely have had this conversation about YEKINDAR joining, replacing Shocks, and just have full aggro Team Liquid.
I think it was going to be very difficult for somebody to turn down the type of money that Team Liquid can offer to a player like that. But
Yes.
he wouldn't be the first to turn it down, and it does depend.
No.
I mean, the other option is if they don't win the major, Na'Vi take out Electronic.
If he does,
if Electronic wants to stay in Russia as well, Na'Vi have said they don't want to. Like that is an option, and that team is
that's disgusting.
Very scary. That is a very, very scary. YEKINDAR bit simple perfecto boomage. That is a very. I mean, Electronic's scary enough. Like,
if they do win the major, they may still do that. It may be like,
if Electronic wants to stay in Russia, that's an option. I'm not sure who else. There's going to be plenty of teams who want him, but like, there's no way he's going to like take a step down to Fnatic. That's something else we can talk about. Briefly.
The problem is like you go down the rankings list, right? And any of the teams that are specifically geolocated, right? NIP won't take him on right now, right? They don't want to bring another nationality into that. Furia won't, Astralis won't, Heroic won't. I don't think G2 wants to screw with things right now.
No.
And I don't know that adding YEKINDAR helps G2.
No, that team does not have any resources left.
Yeah, but like you start going down the list, right, and it's very geolocated teams that are one nationality that you don't want to include in there. So he has to go to an international team. Those are far and few between on the ones that need some help right now. The only team that is
the teams that would use YEKINDAR exist, but very few of them good enough for a player like YEKINDAR to go to. Like, don't get me wrong, if you put YEKINDAR on Mouse, immediately that team becomes like top 8, top 5 immediately. But that's not really good enough for a player like he should be on a team that's top 3.
Hear me out. Cloud9. If they don't win here and they feel the need to make a roster move,
I don't see like you cut Inters, like he's not really the same role. Like the problem you don't have is he plays a very similar role to Axile.
There would be a million issues with this.
Yeah. That's kind of my problem with it. Yeah.
For a while, my Twitter bio said professional bad taker for TLDR. So I'm allowed to do this. Me having terrible takes is just normal.
I love YEKINDAR, and I think he's the best player in the world that's his role. But if there's one player you don't need to improve on Gambit, Cloud9. You don't need a better Axile. Axile is fucking ridiculous. You don't need a better Axile. You just don't. He's a freak. You just, I don't know. That's like the one team where it's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. I think it's Team Liquid, maybe FaZe, but that would be overkill.
Yeah.
Maybe Na'Vi if Electronic, because the thing with
you know what? We'll come back to this discussion.
Yeah,
because we realistically have to wait until after the major.
Yeah,
because
I have a feeling it might be a Na'Vi YEKINDAR angle.
Okay. Next thing on our list, let's talk about EG for a second. So, report came out from our good friend Ryan Friend from Dust2 US Jackson. But I'm gonna say this from Ryan from Dust2. Basically, EG is looking at making a roster change, but it's not actually changing the roster. It's instead adding 2 more rosters and maybe only 1. Basically, we have a rather certain confirmation that EG is going to sign Carpe Diem, which is the former RBG roster. So Hext, Walco, I don't remember who else is on that roster, but Hext and Walco are definitely on that, as the EG Academy team. That is from everything we've heard, set in stone, absolutely, definitely happening.
Probably.
As far as a rumor goes. So like 50-50 shot at this point. The less possibility one that I think you had said is probably not going to happen is Party Astronauts also signing to Evil Geniuses.
So we at Jackson had heard Party Astronauts were going to EG. Ryan reckons they're a little bit more tentative. I will say Ryan's probably right. I'm not going to beat around I'm not going to beat around the bush and be like, no, our report is right. But Ryan's probably right on that. He's closer to the players than we are.
Yeah.
So I would imagine EG are going to sign Carpe Diem as the academy team, and then within about 6 months, their main team. EG, have you ever watched Mr. Robot?
The show? Yes.
Yes. And you know how like the big corporations called like Evil Corp?
E-Corp. E-Corp, yeah.
Isn't it short for Evil Corp?
Well, no, it is called E-Corp, but in Elliot's brain he makes it into Evil Corp.
It's been a while since I've watched it. But that's
great
like,
show, but you haven't watched it.
It's fucking brilliant. But that's what EG are to the NA scene now. They're becoming like an umbrella corporation. Like they've even got evil in their name. They're just E-geniuses now. They're just becoming the umbrella org for North America. They're just signing all the good NA teams, and they're all just going to be EG.
In the opener, when I said quicker than EG can't lose to NA because they are NA, if they sign 3 teams, they will have every NA player other than the ones from Complexity and Liquid who basically live in Europe already as it is. So like they will have all of North America. So here's my I put out a thread on Twitter about my thoughts about this. I'm going to summarize them quickly. RBG Carpe Diem signing, good. Like it. Very good. Yeah. NA good. Give money to NA.
Give them practice.
Give them practice. Send them to Academy League in Europe, right? Let them play against the big boys, right? Good. Like this. Party Astronauts, I'm a little less excited about. I'm excited about the fact that I want Party Astronauts to get an org. I think that they are a good team. I think either changes need to happen. They need to play against different opponents. Something needs to happen there in regards to the Party Astronauts roster, but I don't know that they need like what they need to do until they play against better people more consistently. I think if EG was to sign the Party Astronauts roster, the best thing for them would be ship them off to Europe and have them compete in the tier 2 European tournaments like Pinnacle Cup, like Home Sweet Homes, like Land Sweet, whatever, any of those tournaments, right? Your tier 2 tournaments that you see like Entropic normally competing in, that you see Skade normally competing in, Forza's normally in. Those tournaments, go and run every single one of them you humanly can and get as much practice in those as you can against good European opponents, and then reevaluate. That is my ideal scenario, right? Because you have some issues where your big team, and I put that in strong air quotes because the EG normal team is the EG normal team still, where your normal team, where none of your teams can compete in the same tournament because of conflict of interest, right? So you need everyone to complete in separate tournaments. So that's why that's the best idea that I have come up with if they were to do a 3 roster system.
So I tend to agree with you. The signing of Carpe Diem is a positive one. And very similar actually to we sort of offhand mentioned about like Cloud9, the LS situation before. He had a second roster in-house so they could scrim each other. Now, if and this is the thing that a lot of NA players have mentioned. Go on.
This is the reference Elliot just made is to the Cloud9 League of Legends team. Don't think that
yes.
The Cloud9 team that was just signed has a in-house roster to scrim. Yeah. Please continue.
This is something that a lot of NA players mentioned, like, oh, the level of practice just isn't good, and therefore the young players don't get good enough, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You can circumvent that by just having 2 rosters, one with experience and one younger, and just having them scrim with each other, have them teach each other. Like, you finally have good practice, and you don't have to deal with other NA teams to do it. That's a really positive thing for both teams. And I think Carpe Diem have room to grow, where I don't really think Party Astronauts do. However, I don't know if Party Astronauts are tentative and don't sign this contract.
What happens?
Why? Because you're grinding your fucking ass off every day for zero salary. Look, this might not be the best org to sign for. This might not be a deal you're particularly happy with.
Let me rephrase this. It's definitely not the worst.
No,
as we'll allude to later.
yeah, this might not be the best deal you can get, but it's a fucking salary. Like,
Yep.
if they turn this down because they're not happy with the deal, I will have massive respect for them, because working for no salary, somebody offers you a kind of crappy deal, but you get a salary, and you go, actually, no, I deserve better than this. I really genuinely would respect that, because that's a really, really difficult thing to say.
Yeah.
This isn't for me when you're grinding for nothing. Like, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. On a more NA scene in general thing, right, it's been being said for a while that the practice is shit and that we need better practice, and that we need in the Louvre agreement, which is the magical ESL partner teams agreement, that it basically says that, hey, NA teams need to go like help other NA teams and stuff like that. That really hasn't been super happening. Something I liked seeing in the last week was Elige basically bringing up a demo from a Davenport University game against Limitless, which is two ESEA advanced teams. So not ECL, but advanced. And Davenport University is the team that Coy coaches, so former Mouse Sports assistant coach. Pulling up a demo and telling the Davenport team exactly what they did wrong throughout the entire game and where they lost, which I thought was a huge step in the right direction for what we want to happen, which is North American pros that have gone and been in Europe and now know how better to play Counter-Strike, because let's be real here, the Liquid team is better than every other non-European infused team in America, and showing them how to bring some of that in. I thought that was an important thing, and I want to give credit where credit is due on that.
That's also something that's worth a hell of a lot of money, by the way.
Yes.
Elige's insight into why you lost a game of Counter-Strike is something teams would pay a shit ton of money for. Yeah. And he's just like, I don't care. Here's why you lost. That's. Did you remember when MSL said he'd do that for like £700 or something? And people were like, that's really expensive. And it's like, if you were an ESEA advanced team and MSL was like, I will tell you what went wrong, it's probably not that much money. Elige's doing it for free, which is like, that's a fucking godsend, by the way. I do wonder, like, if maybe he did give Elige some sort of like incentive to do it. But if not, then it's like, that's just a really nice thing for him to do, because it's worth a lot of money. Like, a lot of people would pay money for that.
All right. Next bit. Major. That big tournament
thingy. Can I talk about one little thing just before we do that?
Go.
Can we free mezii, please? I don't know if you saw this. Fnatic lost to EC. I forgot to talk about this in the IEM Dallas. They lost to Esports Club Kiev, or Kyiv, I should say.
Yes, I did see that. EC Kyiv,
yes. mezii in the final map went 38-19, and they lost in regulation.
Okay. That's not great.
This team is fucked. Just like Fnatic, either just get some players around mezii or just let him do something else. This guy is in like the peak of his, like, this is the best he's ever played, and you're like wasting it, losing to Kyiv. He goes plus 19. Nobody else on his team goes even vaguely positive over the series. Like, Poison goes 38-52, AWPing against a tier 4 team. Like, just blow this fucking team up already. Just give mezii I don't know, man. This guy deserves so much better than this.
Yeah. Okay. Now we go to PICKEMS. It's basically under a week, right? Major starts on the 9th of May.
It's exciting. I'm too excited. I can't contain it.
Major starts on the 9th of May. That is Monday. This episode comes out on Thursday, so that means 3 days after this episode comes out, you get to watch Top Tier Counter-Strike as my camera is totally unfocused. Holy. Okay, that's better.
As long as we're focused, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, we have a ton of teams here in the beginning challenger stages, right? These are our, what is it? I don't even remember what the classification of teams are.
I don't
in
know.
events in majors anymore. There's a legend stage. That I know that.
It's like legends, contenders, and challengers or something.
Sure, this is contenders and challengers, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Basically, these are the teams that weren't like extremely good.
The best of the rest.
Yes, the best of the rest, exactly. We have opening matches, which is sick.
Yes.
And we have teams. So both of us have. I have actually done a pick'em. For a different thing for TLDR.
I'm still meditating. I'm waiting for it to come to me in a dream.
You're still figuring. So I'm gonna release my pick'em now with a caveat on what's happening. So quick reminder of all the teams that are here is Eternal Fire, Vitality, Fours, Outsiders, Bad News Eagles, Spirit, G2, Ents, Astralis, Imperial, Complexity, Liquid, MIBR, 9Z, IHC, and Renegades. 8 teams make it through. 2 will go 3-0. 2 teams will go 0-3. So I have my pick'ems pulled up here. So I want your live reactions to these, because some of these are. We talked about me being a professional bad taker, but some of these are questionable.
All right.
Ents 3-0.
Wrong. No, I'm joking.
Ents 3-0. I'm fairly certain that a lot of people are going to have Ents 3-0. G2 advance.
Yep.
Vitality advance.
Ooh. Okay.
Fours advance.
Yes. Correct.
Liquid advance. I'm an NA fan. I had to put one here. I had to put one. I could
definitely see Liquid.
Now we get to a little bit of a questionable phase. 9Z advance.
Brave.
MIBR advance.
Not unreasonable. Wrong, but not unreasonable.
Bad News Eagles advance.
Yes. Correct.
Which means Complexity and
Astralis
and Outsiders don't go through.
I think
now,
I don't think that's entirely unreasonable. I really
neither
don't.
do I. So here's my thing about this, right? Is I am unsure about the 9Z and the MIBR picks. I am confident in the fact that Astralis will not make it through. I don't know why, but I have a gut feeling. So I've been going between those 2 teams. I've had Spirit in there for a little bit. I've had Complexity in there for a little bit. And I've had those 2 teams. So it's going to be G2, Forza, Vitality, Liquid, Bad News Eagles, and some combination of 9Z, MIBR, Complexity, and Spirit. But I don't know what the combination is yet.
Interesting. Who's your 03?
Eternal Fire.
Ooh, that's a spicy meatball. That's a very spicy 03 pick.
There was a definite period of time where I had IHC actually moving on to the next round.
There's no way I'm putting IHC 03. There's just no way.
No. They're not going to go 03. But there was a definite period of time in which I had them moving on to the next round.
Oh, okay. I don't see that happening either.
I don't see it happening either. But there was a definite 10-minute period in which I really put it there, and then I really thought about it, and I really decided not to think about it anymore.
So I think Astralis are more likely to go through than Vitality. I just don't think a team with Blame F is gonna struggle to beat like mediocre teams. That guy he's a flat track bully. He just beats bad teams. And
they won't go 0-3. I can say that for sure because they play against IHC in the first match. So I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, no, okay. I think Astralis will go through. I think Ents asserts G2. They'll wobble, but they'll get through. They'll lose a game somehow. Outsiders, just literally no idea. Like, this team's a dead team, but so was Gambit when they won the major.
Gambit was a great team, though, when they won the major.
Yeah, but are they better than Outsiders are now? Probably not. And they were a completely, like, dead team. I think Liquid will do it. I don't think Complexity will. I've not been impressed with what I've seen. I have a feeling Vitality won't make it.
I have a feeling they won't either, but I have nothing to back that up. I think the things we can agree on though is Ents 100%,
Yep.
Forza 100%.
I'm like really like force pilled. I don't know why. I just this I liked this team before Shalfie was good. Like
Okay.
I thought they were a pretty decent upset team, and then like Shalfie's gone from a 1.05 player to like a 1.2 player with essentially no foreshadowing. And now he's just an absolute monster, like out of nowhere. So this team has become, instead of like a double threat, they're just a triple threat team with Jerry, who I think is a great, like a
We talked at length
genuinely
about
great
Jerry.
in-game leader. Yeah. I really don't. I think they got high seeding as well. I really don't see a world where fours don't go through here.
Yep. We both agree on Liquid, and we both definitely, as I think almost all of the TLDR team actually agrees on Bad News Eagles.
Yeah, it just feels like they've got real momentum behind them, and there's enough teams where you've got a bit of
They
you're a
have
bit
the
uncomfortable with them.
they have the Prime Minister buff.
They have sort of vitality, I suppose. Emmanuel
Shit,
Macron.
maybe they do have to make it through then.
Yeah.
um,
Eternal Fire at 03. I love how spicy it is, but I cannot get on board with it. They're too good to. I'm pretty sure it's just Renegades with the 03 team. Like they got smacked by IHC in the
well,
Asia.
here's the thing: there will be 2 0-3 teams by
Yeah.
definition. So while Renegades is almost certainly going to be one, and I'd agree with you on that,
Yeah.
the picking of the second becomes difficult.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Vu has complexity as his 03.
Yeah, I did
Which
see
is
that.
kind of spicy, but like
in good conscience, I can't do that because I want floppy. I like floppy.
I refuse to put Imperial 0-3.
Yep, no, they'll get a map off of just experience.
They'll grind a game out against somebody. Yep. Like it
No,
might be against like 9Z or something where they just grind a game out against them. You're like, it's so sad.
And we know for a fact that outsiders are going to go 2-3 if they don't go through. They will.
Yeah, it will be
It
close.
will go even, and it will take them until the last map of the last possible series to not go through.
Yeah, I cannot in good faith bet against outsiders going through. They're just too. They just always just find a way.
Yeah.
They just, and then like I haven't even mentioned Spirit yet because I have no idea what to do with them. Like
I know.
Put them through.
See, like this is the thing, right? I've determined that there's like a tier in which of teams like I know for a fact are going through, right? There's a tier of teams I'm like 90% sure are going through, and then there's everyone else.
Yeah, there's so much in it. Like, it's very difficult for me to tell you if Complexity are a better team than Eternal Fire or Spirit. Like, I cannot tell you. You cannot possibly tell me which of those teams is best because
no, I literally can't.
I've got no idea. It's a crapshoot, and I don't know. Chopper's just he's always weaseling his way into the major. Just believe in Chopper.
I don't know, man. All right. I think that was our last Counter-Strike related portion to this.
Yes.
Quick end of the podcast, not Counter-Strike related thing that both of us determined that we wanted to share because it was Counter-Strike adjacent. Which is, if you haven't read the article that just came out in the Washington Post today, we sound like absolute fucking millennials because now I'm talking about a Washington Post article. Washington Post article came out today. Basically, a couple weeks ago, there were rumors, and Riot then launched an investigation into TSM Reginald, the owner CEO, former mid laner for TSM, about
That's
him
TSM FTX to you.
Sorry, TSM FTX being super toxic and shit towards his employees and creating a really bad workplace environment. A really, really long article came out today, which is really, really good, talking about all of the stuff involving that and an entire investigation, which has like, I think the author, who's Mikhail Klimatov, which holy shit, didn't think I was going to pronounce that right in the first one. Mikhail said that he had like 50 plus interviews in order to get all the information for this, in which it talks about TSM hiring people as contractors and basically treating them like full-time employees, and then when they asked to become full-time employees, firing them. Andy basically being a volcano and having basically temper tantrums, paying people less than the legally allowed annual minimum for being a contract. Like, so much stuff is in this piece. Highly recommend going to read it. Point we're bringing this up is, from everything else I've seen on Twitter, is this is not uncommon in esports the way this is being dealt with. It's just being very publicized because of the Riot investigation into TSM and Blitz, which is TSM's company, kind of. Well, I know it's TSM's company. Point is, don't do this, esports teams. Please, let's not. Thank you.
All
Do you
right.
have anything? Do you have anything you want to say on this?
Fuck TSM FTX.
You know what? I could get behind this. I could absolutely get behind this.
I like Hooney though. He's all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all I've got. I don't know.
Level
Everyone.
was-
It was kind of like an open secret with TSM that he was a bit of a live wire. So it's hardly nobody's surprised by it.
Yeah, there. If you aren't aware of all of the backstory, go make yourself aware of the backstory. But there is literally a video of TSM coming back from an event in a van where Andy is screaming at two of his players about why they lost the game.
It's
and
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable to watch. He's screaming at one player about the player sitting next to him, who's just sitting there inside. It's not good, but you should watch it. That's today's esports news. That's all it is for today's episode. You can find us on Twitter at ReTLDR, at Logan Ramhap, and at ANTWERP. We'll be back again next week. We'll be in full major swing.
Ah!